Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, welcome back to the channel and the podcast. Today, we're doing a mock draft with 11 others as we're about to start. People just from the Discord, just from people who are either Patrons or they just watch via YouTube. You can get into that Discord in the description for free. Talking football, talking people mock drafting like crazy in there. If you at me, I'll answer a question, but a lot of times people just be mock drafting and stuff. Y'all are wild. You mock drafting like 24/7, some of you people. But we're here. I'm in this mock draft now. I said, you know what? Let's do one of these bad boys. We'll record it. We'll slap it up onto the YouTubers for a little bit of a video on the podcast platforms. Let these people hear how their ears be doing. But welcome. Hit the like button before we get into this. Hit the big old subscribe button if you would, just popping up on the screen on the YouTube. If you're watching on the podcast, $50 giveaway. If all you do is hit the 5 stars, takes literally 2 seconds of your time on iTunes or follow on Spotify. And the other big one, leave a review. That's how you get into the $50 giveaway. You leave a review on iTunes. You say something for 30 seconds, good show, and leave a way for me to contact you. You'll be entered into a raffle. And sometimes it's like a 50-50 chance. Sometimes it's like a 10% chance. Still a better chance than nothing. So check all of that out. It's linked down below. We're going to get into this. It's a 12-team format, a couple bench spots. It's not going to be a super deep draft like 18 or 20 rounds just since we're mocking, trying to get a feel for it against some other competitors who watch my videos and I assume other people's videos and podcasts in the industry. So it should be some pretty sharp people for this point in the season. So yeah, if you're watching this, I'm recording this about 2 weeks in advance. If you're watching this and somebody gets injured and somebody opts out of the season for coronavirus, like these types of things, they were only drafted where they were drafted because this was shot before that. So just keep that in mind. I know some people like to be like, how did you draft Deebo Samuel in the 5th after? And when that stuff happened, come on, we're recording this ahead of time. But we're here and we're ready to do it. So I'm gonna send a little message into the chat, the signal, the bat signal, the get ready to mock. Everybody button up, get up on the roller coaster, up the chimney, because the 101, let's see what's gonna be. Ding, ding, ding. Who's on the clock first? Joe Carp, 1, 2, 3. We're about to start this bad boy up. And we are off and running. So I'm picking from the 4 spot. Now, look, I know people want me to get creative in some of these and just be taking whoever and whoever, right, and all that stuff. I don't really want to be doing that. Hopefully nobody takes this as a joke either in here. I put it in the Discord so we only get serious people. I think we will. But pretty much what I want to do is I'm drafting from the 4 spot because my home league, we decided on, and we played the Memorial, and whichever golfers that we picked, the 12 of us, finished the highest. That's the ranking order of our draft. And we did that with some other stipulations, and I got 4th. And my guy, Patrick Cantley, at the time, a golfer, if you're not familiar, was actually in 1st. So I thought I was going to have the 101. I got 4th. I liked 4th. Actually, you get to pick, right? So I was the 4th option. The first 3 options picked 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So I could have picked later in the draft. I ended up picking right away, and I ended up picking 4th because I just wanted to get one of the 4 mega elites. I figure I'm going to get Kamara in that draft. I figure I'm going to get Kamara in this draft as well. So this is the point, right? Like, I like Mixon, but I don't like him as much as Kamara. So I'm going to go Kamara here. It's an easy choice for me. The top 4 running backs, my top 4 overall players are off the board. And now this is where things can start to get interesting. I want to see what happens at my 2nd and 3rd pick, and actually my 4th and 5th pick too, to see what running backs are left at the 2nd and 3rd, and what wide receivers are there and running backs at the 4th and 5th to try and get a little bit of preparation. I think I've only done like 1 mock draft from the 4th overall spot. I do a lot either like 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and I do a lot like 10th, 11th, and 12th. I've even done a couple at like 8, and I always get Joe Mixon for some reason. And oh boy, look at this run of running backs right now. Man, giddy up. Holy cow. So the top 7 running backs are off the board, and then we finally get 1 wide receiver to go on Michael Thomas. This is a full PPR format. It is going to be 12-team mock draft, and nothing else crazy, right? Everything else is pretty much standard scoring after the PPR. So let's see what we end up getting here. Everybody seems to be in this draft, so feels pretty good. Yeah, Alvin Kamara is a good start. My goal would be to look at running back on my next turn, and I like a lot of running backs, but a lot are going off the board, and you have to almost go running back because this type of a draft, you can see Kenyon Drake going in the 1st round. These guys want to go running back heavy first. And if they're all going to go running back heavy, and you can see that based on the 1st round, you got to go out there and get your running backs. Because if I skip on a running back in the 2nd round, my 3rd round running back, if I take one there, it's not going to be great. And then there's nothing left. This isn't like a normal draft where maybe you're drafting with your friends. They don't pay as attention. These guys always, and girls maybe, watch a lot of my videos. They're all going running backs. You can see Miles Sanders goes in the 1st round. So we got 11 running backs off the board right now, or 10 running backs, 9 running backs in the first 10 picks, excuse me. So yeah, this is getting pretty wild pretty early. And I think they're just going to keep coming off the board because these guys know how I like to draft. And man, I'm sitting there at the 1-4, and I don't think my home league is going to be doing this, going this heavy at running back. Honestly, like, it's going to be hard to not take a running back at the 2-9, but there's a really good chance that guys like Julio or Tyreek drop to you that far, and they shouldn't drop that far just because everybody's going running backs. The top 11 running backs in my rankings are off the board. 11 running backs, 1 in the 1st round. Y'all are crazy right now, yo. Eckler goes. Oh, man. I mean, these guys are sharp. I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be going back-to-back running back every spot. But at this point, like, my best available running backs are going to be like David Montgomery. These guys are all tripping right now. Damn. But I wait. I feel okay because I feel like there's that point where a couple of guys are going to have to say, Adams is still on the board. Julio's still on the board. I got to go there. But that's what these guys are doing. These guys all went running backs. And the guy who took Michael Thomas, I assume, is going to go running back as well. So yeah, pretty crazy right now. There goes Adams. So our second receiver goes at the overall 15th pick. Wild times that we're having here. Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette. I would love to get one of those guys. I thought maybe you can get both of those guys, but it's not happening now. One of Todd Gurley or Leonard Fournette falling to me at the 2-9 would be ideal. Not feeling confident about it now, though. And then at that point, taking like a second round running back. So Todd Gurley goes, this is going to suck. They're going to make me really work for this because taking like, I don't know, Jonathan Taylor in the second, no thank you. David Montgomery in the second, no, you can't be doing that. So this is going to be a really tough draft. You're going to maybe have to do a little bit of a modified 0 RB just because of how many running backs went off the board. Normally, I would say just grab a running back, and now you can see the receivers are starting to go. Ideally, Fournette would fall 2 picks to me, but I don't think it's going to happen just based on the track record of how many running backs are off the board and the fact that the top 4 wide receivers are now gone, all sort of those mega elite wide receivers. So maybe I just switch it up. You can see Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes, oh, please, fingers crossed, give us Leonard Fournette. Give us Leonard Fournette. Melvin Gordon's there. I would debate taking Melvin Gordon in the second, but that's so early for Melvin Gordon. Fournette at the end of the second round is even early, but once he goes, man, there's not a lot of workhorse backs left. I think Gordon and Fournette are the last workhorse backs outside of David Montgomery, but I can't be taking David Montgomery where I'm currently going in the second round. Wide receivers, the top guys are gone. I mean, you have Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, but this might be a situation, and Leonard Fournette goes on the auto pick. That is absolutely brutal. So, yeah, man, I haven't faced one of these in a while. This might be a situation where you just go tight end and try and secure the best thing there. I still think running back's the option, but a second round pick, I get it. The comment section is going to blow up. Second round pick on Melvin Gordon is disgusting. But when my third round pick comes around, my best available RB2 is going to be like Devin Singletary or Mark Ingram. So I might have to just bite the bullet here and end up going to Melvin Gordon. It doesn't feel great by any means, but I'm going to go Melvin Gordon here. And now the top 17 running backs are off the board, and we're not even through the second round. This is just brutal. Hopkins goes off the board. I'm gonna keep loading up on running back. And hopefully guys start taking receivers now, but that is just brutal. I've never seen so many. Can somebody save me a running back, says the guy who picked first overall, McCaffrey. Yeah, man. I mean, Chris Carson's there. That's not a terrible option if you go Carson and like, I don't know, Montgomery. But man, since all those guys just went, it makes any pick you take at the running back position now overvalued. Montgomery in the third would be overvalued. Carson in the third would not be. Jonathan Taylor would be slightly. David Montgomery would be slightly. So yeah. It sucks. So the fella first overall says, you know what? There's no running backs. I just got to go take Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the number 1 at each position right now in my rankings for quarterback and tight end. He goes, he does that. So very, very interesting there. I'm up in 2 picks, and like I would take Chris Carson third overall if he fell to me. Chris Carson's my 18th overall running back. David Johnson goes, so it's between Chris Carson and David Montgomery. I'm just going to go Chris Carson here. Like my best available wide receiver is Allen Robinson, but I'm just going to keep loading up on running backs. That's the strategy that I like to stick to. Based on how this draft started, right? With 16 running backs going before my second round pick, I would have not have thought that I would be able to get Melvin Gordon and Chris Carson. I don't feel great about the both of them, nor do I feel great about my start in general. I don't think it's a great pick to have the 1-4, but I think it's better than the 1-5 or the 1-6. In this draft, probably not, because Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette sounds like a better start. That guy goes Jonathan Taylor. So a couple guys, including myself, going 3 running backs in a row. Yeah, wild. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I mean, I'm blown away. I haven't seen this many running backs go. I don't think this will ever be happening in most of my leagues because a lot of guys have different strategies, a 0 RB. It's pretty clear that a lot of these players just watch my content and they know what they're doing. That's what it all comes down to. They know what they're doing at this point. So the man who was always disrespected at any point of his career with some of the worst quarterbacks, and Allen Robinson is still on the board here. This guy is a good start to his lineup. He goes Kenyon Drake and Todd Gurley. Then he goes George Kittle. So I don't think that's terrible after you secure 2 top-end running backs, in my opinion. And by top-end, I mean 2 top 12 running backs is where I have those guys currently ranked. I have Kenyon Drake 11. I have Todd Gurley 12. I think I have Todd Gurley 12. Maybe I have him 13. Let me see. So I have Todd Gurley 13, and I have Kenyon Drake 11. So 12 was Austin Eckler. So pretty close. I think that's a pretty good start. Then the George Kittle. I don't take tight ends early, but at this point, I think it's okay. Adam Thielen going in the third round. I don't think you were reaching there. Like anything after like the 6th overall receiver, like wide receivers like 6 or wide receivers 7 to like 20, you could all tell me that they're top 10 wide receivers, and I'd say, yeah, I'm not going to really debate you too hard on that one. So let's see who I think had the best start so far. I mean, I think the Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Jonathan Taylor has a lot of upside. Obviously, a lot of question marks around Jonathan Taylor's role, a lot of question marks around Leonard Fournette in the second round, although the way this draft went, I don't think it's terrible. I like the start of McCaffrey, Kelce, and Mahomes. taking the number one at each of those positions seems like a pretty strong option to have a good foundation for your team, right? It just depends now what the rest of your wide receiver or your rest of your running backs are going to look like, because there's not going to be much left on the bone, in my opinion, once we get there. I mean, I think my start's decent if you want to go full on running backs like Kamara, Melvin Gordon, Carson. Carson should be healthy. All the reports are. If that's the case, I think these guys are all guys who touch the ball 20 times a week, factoring in receptions. So yeah, I feel okay about that. Looking through the rest of these teams, the guy at the turn goes Josh Jacobs, Eckler, Odell, and Robert Woods. That feels okay. I think Woods in the fourth is fine. I think Jacobs and Eckler's a really good swing. I think Odell at his 312 is one that I'm okay with. I would have gone Allen Robinson, though. Allen Robinson's still on the board. David Montgomery goes, so now we're through the top 23 running backs in my rankings, and that is rough because my best availables are Devin Singletary, Cam Akers, and Kareem Hunt. I would go running back again. I'm probably not going to. If somehow Allen Robinson falls to me at the fourth round, this draft starts to become very good, but DJ Moore's still on the clock. I mean, you still have Juju on the clock, so a lot of receivers. All the young receivers are still on the clock, and the guys I really like DK Metcalf, DJ Shark, Terry McLaurin, all those young guys, I would love to get at least one of those guys in one of my next two picks. So there goes the man, the myth, the legend, A-Rob, Allen Robinson. Jay Wolin takes Raheem Mostert. I know Jay Wolin's probably going to watch this video, so I'm not going to say anything bad. I hate Raheem Mostert. He's probably my biggest fade, but people have their opinions, and fourth round pick. The thing I don't like Raheem Mostert about is he went zero wide receiver, or he went zero RB, and he went very good with it. Michael Thomas, Julio Jones. You get Julio Jones at the 2-5, and then Chris Godwin, 3 of my top 8 wide receivers. You get in your zero RB build, so yeah, I like that a lot. But Raheem Mostert is your starter. I probably would have gone, yeah, it's tough at that point because so many guys are gone. I guess Mostert has secure touches of like 12 to 15, but I think you could have gotten that like 3 rounds later with some of the guys like Damien Williams, like Darius Geis to an extent, Cohen, right? DeAndre Swift. So at that point, I would have probably went with another receiver, to be honest with you. Like DJ Moore was still on the board. If I was Jay Wallen, I would have just went to DJ Moore. And DJ Moore goes off the board 2 picks before me. Damn. So I'm on the clock right now and I'm looking at it. Juju's still on the board. I think he's okay. I think I might just start swinging for some of these young receivers. So A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, DJ Shark, DK Metcalf. I think I'm going to go with A.J. Brown here. Running backs left, Cam Akers, Devin Singletary. Don't really want them. So let's go A.J. Brown. We get our young upside receiver. And I'm fine going to back-to-back young upside receivers. DK Metcalf, DJ Shark, Terry McLaurin. I'm fine going back to one of those guys. But maybe I'll go to Cam Akers if he's still there in the 5th round. We'll end up seeing what happens there. So a little bit of a wide receiver run now that started towards the end of this 3rd round. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm hoping somebody just takes Cam Akers, so I don't have to really make a decision on that. Because in the 5th round, I would probably snag another running back in Cam Akers and then just be done with running back for the draft. DeAndre Swift is also still on the clock. I think he's a fine pick to take in the 5th round. But a lot of wide receivers. Calvin Ridley's still on the board. Stephon Diggs, Cup, Lockett, Allen, all these guys are still on the board. And Jay the GOAT takes me again. So Jay the GOAT twice now has taken guys that I've wanted, and one of them right there is Cam Akers. So now Singletary goes my top 28 running backs still left. My best available running backs in this order: Damien Williams, James White, Matt Breida, Darius Geis, Tariq Cohen, DeAndre Swift. And I'm getting closer to moving up DeAndre Swift a little bit higher than some of those other guys. Just a little bit of a concern with maybe the offseason and really what his role will be like there. So Cooper Kupp goes. I'm a couple picks away. I've locked in the fact that I'll get another upside receiver. Calvin Ridley's still on the clock in this one. I mean, I'm going to take Calvin Ridley in the 5th round if he's still there in his Atlanta offense. I mean, look, I'm down on Calvin Ridley only because of his ADP. I'm high on his talent. I think he's going to play great, but I don't want to be taking him as like a 3rd or 4th round pick. He's going to fall to me in the 5th round. I'll end up taking him there, no doubt about it. So Jay to GOAT is taking a ton of running backs, and I like it. Saquon Bell, Kenny Golladay, Cam Akers, and DeAndre Swift, 2 rookies. I like that a lot. So Ridley's still on the board. He goes, damn. So I get sniped again, man. Another snipe job. So at this point, I like Metcalf, I like Shark, I like McLaurin. Metcalf obviously has the best wide receiver, best quarterback obviously attached to him. So I think I'm going to go Metcalf here. We get our 2 young rookies who 2 of the 3 best wide receivers last year at the rookie position. A.J. Brown, and then it's 2A, 2B for Terry McLaurin and a guy in DK Metcalf for me. So I get to not get Terry McLaurin. He's definitely going to go by my next pick, but I feel good about the young upside rookies. McLaurin is the clear alpha in his offense, especially now with Kelvin Harmon injury, although he wasn't ever really a factor, but even more reason for a big target share. But I just like DK Metcalf's upside a little bit more in terms of his quarterback and upside, and also just the red zone and touchdown upside that he has. So I like the start that we have so far. It's a little bit unorthodox for me. I don't usually take Chris Carson. I don't usually take Kamara, Melvin Gordon, Chris Carson. Lately, I've been taking A.J. Brown. I take DK Metcalf pretty often. So a little bit of an unorthodox start from the players that I'm actually picking in this one, but don't hate it. If somehow we got back around and either Shark or McLaurin were still on the clock, I would love that, but Shark just goes and McLaurin's definitely not lasting to the 6'9". So yeah, DeAndre Swift was another guy that later on I liked as taking like a 4th 4th running back in this type of a build, but he's already gone. So maybe Damien Williams, if he makes it to the 6th round, I think he's going to open the year as a starter. You get a couple of good weeks out of him, maybe even the whole season in a 50-50 role with Clyde. This board thinned out really, really quickly. We got our 3 starters at running back, so I feel good about that. I think I'm going to keep piling on wide receiver and then maybe just load up on late round running backs, 1 or 2 of them, like your J.K. Dobbins. Zach Moss would be a big name that I want to try and acquire later on. So yeah, I like the way that this is starting. I don't love it. I would have loved it a lot more if I ended up landing probably Calvin Ridley at the 5-4. Probably would have landed a better running back at my 2nd and 3rd round picks, but so many went off the board early. I mean, so many running backs went off the board that somebody just took Ronald Jones and Darius Geis in the 5th. I mean, that's borderline where you should take them at the end of the 5th, but they're like 6th and 7th round picks in a lot of drafts. Let's look at some of these teams. There are some teams that I really do like. I love this start of Kenyon Drake, Todd Gurley, George Kittle, Allen Robinson, and Terry McLaurin. You get Allen Robinson in the 4-4. That's great. You get McLaurin at the 5-9. That's fantastic. And then I like the picks of Kenyon Drake and Todd Gurley. There is maybe some risk there with both of those guys, but I think they're both fine picks personally. Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray at the 6-1's fine. That's a decent build. Anytime that you're going to get like studs at some positions, I really like it, especially when you're getting Robinson in the 4th. So I think that's a fine build. We're getting closer to my pick now, so I actually got to start looking at the board again. Damien Williams is still there. I might take him, but I'll probably load up on receiver again. I'm seeing Jarvis Landry. I'm seeing guys like Cortland Sutton still there. We'll see about some of those guys. Some of the other starts, McCaffrey, Kelsey, Mahomes, Singletary, and Kupp. That's not terrible, right? You obviously forego when so many running backs go off the board and just know you're not going to have great running backs after McCaffrey when you take Kelsey and Mahomes. So that's built into the strategy already. I'm seeing some other things here. I like this Jay to Goat who's been sniping me. Saquon, Bell, Kenny Golladay, Akers, and Swift. That's a pretty strong start. Let's see what happens now as we're approaching my next pick. Dobbins and Ertz go off the board. I'm 2 picks away. Dobbins goes off the board so early lately. I don't really agree with that. I'm looking at the clock right now. There's not a lot that I like here. Like AJ Green, Jarvis Landry type range, Damien Williams, Tariq Cohen at running back. I definitely don't want anything at the tight end position. It's to the point where all the top 4 elite guys, in my opinion, are gone, and I'll just wait. Quarterback is too early. Hollywood Brown goes. That's a pretty good pick. A little bit of a reach in the 6th round, but he probably wouldn't have been there in the 7th. There's a decent chance he's not. I got my 2 younger receivers. I think in the 6th round, I'm okay taking Jarvis Landry here. So I might actually go ahead and take Jarvis Landry. 6th round is a spot where I'm fine getting to him. You get a veteran, right? You get the upside 2nd-year players in A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. Get some stability with a Jarvis Landry over an A.J. Green for me in this type of a build. So Cortland Sutton goes. It's between Parker, A.J. Green, Landry, and Fuller. Fuller maybe makes it back around to me. He has a lot of upside, of course. We saw Landry's upside last year, maybe even a ceiling out of Landry last year. So let's see. I'll go with Landry here. I think the play action passing will improve because of a better offensive line and a better running game, or just a more efficient running game. It was already pretty efficient last year with Nick Chubb. So Damien Williams goes. I was going to take Damien Williams, so he was the guy at the running back I was actually going to debate. So that hurts a little bit, but I think it's fine overall. So now we have 3 running backs and 3 receivers. Running back is really thinned out. Receiver, there's still some pretty big names on the board. I mean, you have a receiver's always just deep. I mean, like, I can name 10 guys that I feel pretty good about that are still on the board, and honestly, maybe up to 20. So 3 running backs, 3 receivers. We're about to hit the 7th round. I'll probably go with another receiver, to be honest with you, and go 4 in a row there. And I'm looking at guys like Will Fuller would be a guy I really want to get here, or Brandon Cooks. This guy goes Dak Prescott, so I probably want to go Will Fuller or Brandon Cooks, unless AJ Green falls to me in the 7th round, right? Or Devontae Parker still on the board. So we'll see what ends up falling. Maybe you get this guy to take a wide receiver. He takes Parker there. So yeah, let's see. We're a couple picks away. We'll see what happens in about 3 picks. He takes Brandon Cooks, so there's one guy I was looking at. And if you're still watching, I'm drafting off of my rankings, so Supreme Draft Guide if you want it, just $10 Rooskies, thanks to Monkey Knife Fight. Link down below. You get all my rankings, my tiers, a bunch of player profiles that I've shown in some other videos. Check all that stuff out right now. Linked down below. And also, like button. Big old subscribe button pops up. Appreciate all that. You want to get into a raffle, $50 giveaway on a weekly basis. Sometimes you got a 50-50 chance of winning it based on how many people review the podcast version of this YouTube show. You're probably listening there right now, some of you. It is just the Sal Vetri Show on iTunes. So I'm on the clock right now in the 7th round. AJ Green's still there, so it's between AJ Green and Will Fuller. You get the upside in Will Fuller. You get the potential upside in a sleeping giant in AJ Green with 1 year left for him. You just don't know what kind of shape that he's in. So I'm going to go Will Fuller. I go Will Fuller in the 7th round over AJ Green. I have AJ Green 2 spots ahead, but I'm just going to keep shooting for upside now at this point in the draft. So we get our 3 running backs, 4 receivers. And look, I'm like 1 or 2 rounds away until I even want to touch a quarterback or a tight end. So I might go with even another wide receiver in the 8th round. The running backs have just gotten soaked up. I was going to take Damien Williams in the 7th round, but he went to pick after I took Landry. So we'll see what happens as the 7th round closes out. A lot of wide receivers going after a huge run on running backs the first 2.5 to 3 rounds. So just a little recap on where my board is. Oof, that's a little bit of a brutal round there. He goes Jordan Howard and Sony Michel at the turn. That's rough. Sony Michel might not even be ready for the start of the season. I think Sony Michel is dust this year. I don't think he's going to do anything. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I doubt it. Jalen Reagor's a pretty good pick. Marquis Goodwin opted out of the season. Alshon Jeffrey has officially been announced to be put on the PUP list, so Reagor's just just going to have to get on the field. Deshaun Jackson is older. Speed is going to burn still even when you're older, but Deshaun Jackson's all they really have out there at the wide receiver position outside of some other rookies, of course, but obviously no Nelson Aguilar. He goes to Oakland. I think Rieger is actually one of the rookies who shortened off season is going to help hurt everybody, but at least he'll have some opportunity right out of the gate. Christian Kirk goes off the board in the 8th round. He was my best available receiver. So just an update on what the board looks like. Best available running back, Tariq Cohen, 33rd overall. But then after that, I only have 3 running backs inside my top 40 left: Cohen, Lindsey, and Keyshawn Vaughn. I have Marvin Jones at 35. He's who I'm looking at for my next pick. We're about 6 picks away, though, so a little bit concerned about that. CeeDee Lamb goes off the board there. And there goes Marvin Jones. So, yeah, now we're at a part where I don't really like a lot that's left. I got 4 receivers, 3 running backs, and maybe I end up just going, quarterback here? You still have? Nah, I don't really like most of them. Tariq Cohen goes, so not a spot I'm going to take running back. I got my 3 heavy hitter running backs. Maybe I go Zach Moss here, actually. Now that I kind of just said I'm not going to go running back, but I think about it more because I'm looking at wide receiver. Crowder, Deontay Johnson, Debo, John Brown, Preston Williams. These are guys I don't really want at this point in the draft. I don't really want these running backs either, but get a little bit of security. And Zach Moss, who is going to have a big goal line role, an opportunity to maybe score 6, 7 touchdowns this year, and not even counting in. He has some pass catching ability. He has pass blocking ability. And after him, there's not much more I can say about guys that I like. It's Zach Moss, and then you're hoping for injuries with guys like Latavius Murray. I'd have to be handcuffing Alvin Kamara in the 8th round. That doesn't sound great. Guys like Tony Pollard, the exact same situation. I think that Zach Moss has actually standalone value more so than a lot of these other guys. Marlon Mack's here, Kerryon Johnson's here, but we kind of know where they're going. So I'm going to go Zach Moss here because after this, I'd have to just be taking 2 just dart throws later on in the round or later on in the draft. So I'm going to take Zach Moss in the 8th round, earlier than I would like to, but I'm skeptical that he'll get back to me in the 9th with all the running backs already off the board. So I get my 4th running back in Zach Moss, and now we kind of just wait and we see what happens at wide receiver. I'd be fine taking Deontay Johnson in the 9th round. I don't know if he'll make it there. All the hype got him all the way up to a top of the 7th round pick a month or 2 ago. But now if he actually falls to me in the 9th round, that's a spot I feel comfortable taking him. And it's just the trend of getting these second-year wide receivers, these young wide receivers, paired up with Will Fuller and Jarvis Landry as our veterans. I think it's a pretty decent combo so far for this draft. Again, I don't really like the starts of this draft. I don't think my home league is going to go so many running backs in a row. So I think I'm safe there. 11 running backs in the first 12 picks. And I don't even know. Actually, I think we kept getting running backs after that, right? Yeah, 12 running backs in the first 13 picks. And then just a run on the guys that I actually wanted later on before the Gordon pick. So obviously Melvin Gordon and Chris Carson are bad ADP picks at where I took them. But everybody else, all the other top wide receivers are already gone. So we're seeing some guys go off the board now. You still got Deontay Johnson on the clock. I think he's fine. Phillip Lindsay is my best available running back, 36th overall. Crowder is my best available wide receiver. He's another guy that I can take. Not going to move the needle for me, but just like a security piece if I wanted to at the wide receiver position. And there goes Deontay Johnson. So now I'm leaning more towards Crowder. It's the 9th round, so I could take a tight end, but there's still a lot left. Evan Ingram, Higbee, Gronk, Gesicki. I'll probably take a tight end in my 10th pick and then come back to quarterback in my 11th pick. I could go for Matt Ryan here if I wanted to, but I'm fine with so many guys still on the board. Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Wentz, Stafford, Josh Allen. So a lot of guys still left on the clock. I'll probably just wait out quarterback to that 10th and 11th round turn and then get a tight end then. So I'm going to take a wide receiver here. Upside wide receivers like Anthony Miller. I think he might make it to me. Emmanuel Sanders just went. So yeah, Darius Slayton just goes, I'm on the clock now. So it's like a Crowder who doesn't really pop off for upside. I want to really be shooting for upside in these rounds. So it's too early to take Deshaun Jackson or Michael Pittman in my opinion. So I'm looking at it right now. I do think that Anthony Miller does stand out. Crowder stands out as well. Crowder is going to be the guy that I go to here. Just the fact that Crowder is a veteran in an offense that has a new wide receiver coming in Rashad Perriman with no real offseason. And he's also has a rookie coming in Denzel Mims and Chris Herndon, who really didn't get to play last year. Improved offensive line. Darnold loves throwing to the slot. Adam Gase loves scheming to the slot, a.k.a. Jarvis Landry when he was in Miami. And then you have Sam Darnold throwing to Juju when he was at USC. So Crowder, productive last year. If he gets the touchdowns, he'll be a top wide receiver in terms of a top 30, top 25 guy. He'll get the receptions, just not the yardage. He could have 100 reception year and just 700 yards. Right? That's his thing. Now we got 5 receivers to our 4 running backs, and I'll go now with a tight end and a quarterback. That's kind of how I like to do it. My first 9 picks, running backs, wide receivers. Again, this is a pretty tough draft. These guys are really making me work for my money. I feel like I'm getting sniped pretty often in this one. These guys are doing pretty well. So we keep on rolling through here. McCole Hardman and a couple other running backs go off the board. So Lindsey ended up going off the board there. So now all of my top 40 running backs, all my top 43, the only guys left in my top 50 at running back, Boston Scott, Darrell Henderson, and Tony Pollard. So Chase Edmonds goes off the board there. Anthony Miller at the end of the 9th round. Very strong pick there for how this draft is going right now. I'm looking at my next pick. I got to go with a tight end because they're starting to run out. Although Evan Ingram is still on the clock. Like, I get it. We're scared of his injury. But if he stays healthy, he's going to be an absolute monster. I think Evan Ingram is on the clock. Maybe he went. Let me see. Yeah, so Evan Ingram is still on the clock right now at this point. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy that Evan Ingram can still make it. Tyler Higbee, that's fine if he's made it. I know he's probably a good pick at this point, but I'm not that high on Tyler Higbee anymore. Gesicki goes at the end of the 9th. I'm shocked that Evan Ingram, my 6th overall tight end, injury concerns for sure. I'm shocked that he's still on the board as we hit the double-digit rounds. He somehow makes it to me. I'll snag him. A lot of quarterbacks left. You can tell that these people watch me as well because only right now 6 quarterbacks taken and we're in the 10th round. That is a late round quarterback strategy. So early running backs, then hammer middle rounds or wide receivers, and then get your quarterbacks and tight ends late. That's what's about to happen in probably these next 2 rounds. And I'm very scared because I'm the end of the 10th round, the 10-9, and these guys might just pile off a bunch of tight ends and quarterbacks right now and leave me hanging like they did at running back. You damn bastards. And there goes Carson Wentz. Don't start the trend. Don't start the trend. So Evan Ingram finally goes about 5 picks before me. So that kind of sucks. I'm looking at tight end. They already took my man's Jonnu. They already took my man's Mike Gesicki. So Higbee's still on the clock. I don't love him, but if I get him at the end of the 10th round, I guess it's fine. I might wait. If Higbee goes, I'm just going to wait on tight end even more. I'm definitely going to secure a quarterback here. Hopefully Matt Ryan or Stafford. One of those guys would be pretty good. So a couple of rookies are going in this round. They're finishing out some of these dusty old running backs. Darrell Henderson goes. I mean, maybe he'll be decent. We're 1 pick away. I'm going to go quarterback here in the 10th round. I mean, that's what I just got to go to at this point. He takes Drew Brees. That's fine. I didn't want Brees. Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan are still on the clock. I got Ryan 1 spot ahead of Stafford, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get myself some Matt Ryan here. A couple quarterbacks go. That might actually start a trend on quarterback, which would normally help me at tight end. But the fact that I actually don't want any of these tight ends left, I guess Higbee, if he drops to the 11th, I would take, but I don't even want Higbee either, but we'll see what ends up happening. Running back, nothing's left. I have 4. I'll probably take like a late round running back or just wait on the waivers, if anything, since this isn't a deep bench mock draft. N'Keal Harry goes. So I got 5 receivers. I would like to get to about 7 receivers, maybe 4 running backs, finish it up with a tight end, and then probably not going to draft the backup tight end or quarterback because this league, I think it's only 12 rounds. Oh, it's only 12 rounds. So yeah. Normally your rounds are going to be like 18 to 22, at least 16. This one's not going to be that long. Somebody just took Antonio Brown. That's a very sharp player. So I'll probably just end up going with my last pick, a tight end. I have 4 running backs. I'll end up getting 6 receivers. That's fine for how many rounds this draft is. So I'm going to go Deshaun Jackson with this next pick as long as he doesn't go 1 pick before me. I could have probably waited even more on a quarterback. I didn't know it was 12 rounds. I probably would have just waited till the last round and just snagged like Cam Newton or something. But Michael Pittman goes. Good pick there as well. I'm looking at the clock right now, and I'm probably going to take Deshaun Jackson. He falls to me, especially now that Tyler Higbee just went a pick before me. I'm definitely going to take Deshaun Jackson. So I take my 6th receiver. My 12th and final pick will be a tight end. It's just a matter of who now will it be a tight end. Best available tight ends left are not that great, but Herndon's still there. I would take him in the 17th. You still got Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson, so I guess they're pretty good. And then you got all those guys who look pretty similar to me. With Blake Jarwin, Ian Thomas, you could throw Herndon into that mix, and Fant, and even Hawkinson as well. So pretty good. I think that this draft was brutal because these motherfuckers just took all the running backs. And they did my strategy, right? You wait to the 10th and the 11th round for your tight ends and quarterbacks. You can see most of the tight ends and quarterbacks in this draft have gone in these 2.5 rounds, late round. I think that's the best way to go about it. Get your running backs early. A lot of them did that, and then load up on receivers. And since I was always at the end of a lot of these runs, it seemed like I was getting like the worst of it at the running backs early on. I feel good about my overall quarterback. I'll feel good about whichever one of these younger tight ends I end up getting. A lot of guys already took tight ends, so I don't think they're going to take a second one. I have my choice. I'll probably take TJ Hawkinson. If he's still on the clock. I like Herndon, but I have Hawkinson ranked higher, and I think many people should at that point. A lot of dusty old running backs going off the board now, but yeah. So 12 rounds, not bad. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, big old one pops up again. I hope you're all having a great day. Let me know. We're really close, right, to the season. Less than like, by the time I start making DFS content, we're like 3 weeks away. I'm recording this a couple weeks in advance, but by the time you're watching this, a couple weeks away. Very, very exciting. Want some live action of the chat right now? Most recent chat. Somebody said this should be a pretty good video, good draft. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it is a really good draft. It actually made me think really hard in the 30-second clock. This is what I write back. This whole video is just me calling them bastards, right? Motherfuckers, bastards, all that stuff. Nah, they did really good. This was awesome. In a 3 wide receiver PPR, wide receiver has to be prioritized. Dirty Dollar Bill says in the chat. I don't think it has to be, no. It's all about your overall opportunity cost. You don't have to prioritize something when in the 5th and 6th and 7th rounds, or really in like if it's an 18 or 20 round draft, in like your 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th rounds, you have quality wide receiver 2s there, whereas your running backs at that point are literally Darrell Henderson Jr. is like your best option. So you have to prioritize what the opportunity cost is. Wide receivers early, yes, they're talented players, but the opportunity cost the gap from getting a wide receiver 1 in an offense to a wide receiver 2 compared to a workhorse running back to a guy who might see 4 to 5 touches a game at best if his primary back doesn't get hurt is a huge drop off in your actual positions when you're starting. So I'd rather have a bunch of workhorses and wide receiver 2s that are seeing like 6 targets in a game than having like wide receivers seeing 10 to 12 targets in a game and a running back in my starting lineup that's getting like maybe 4 or 5 touches that week. That's just who I am. I get 0 RB though. Like if you're doing a big tournament, specific tournament that makes sense to do it in PPR formats for pass catching 0 RBs, I don't get it in like this type of a mock though. But I mean, yeah, 3 wide receivers, you have to prioritize more than 2 wide receivers, but still don't want to go there. Still got to get elite running backs over the wide receiver. Wide receiver has too much depth. I agree. We destroyed Sal's video, somebody says. Yeah, yo, fuck this video up. Damn. Right, where are we at? I'm almost on the clock again, right? Yeah, so I'm going to take, so he took TJ Hawkinson. Man, they just keep stealing me right now. Hunter Henry goes. I don't want Hunter Henry in anything that I ever do. If he keeps falling though this late, it's okay. Same thing for like Austin Hooper. Looking at it, Noah Fant and Chris Herndon. I'll take one of those guys. Hopefully somebody else doesn't take them. Nobody else needs a tight end. I'll probably take Chris Herndon to be honest with you. Like he'll be my tight end. Like Noah Fant, there's a little bit of competition there. Hooper, Goddard still on the board. So yeah, I'm going to take Herndon here. I think it's a fine sleeper at that point. We go when we get our Chris Herndon to close out the draft. Going to return. I already got Crowder, so I know I got 2 Jets. Whatever. Middle of the field is now dominated with Sal's team in the Jets. Great draft, everybody. I like this. I'll look at my entire team real quickly. I'm not going to like it overall. We can fit the whole team on the clock. Look at that. Kamara, Gordon, Chris Carson. We lock up a bunch of touches. Probably 20 touches per person. Kamara maybe like 18, but you get the high upside elusiveness. Probably touchdown regression, high upside, just overall pass catching ability. I think Melvin Gordon and Chris Carson, if healthy, are going to see 20 plus touches a game or 18 plus, we could say. And then I like my receivers. I like this run on receiver for me personally. AJ, DK Metcalf, Landry, and Will Fuller. And I just have to get another running back. So Zach Moss, which I think was the best available by far for his role. Then you get a safe wide receiver, which I might not like what I did here. Like a safe wide receiver in the 9th. Usually want to shoot for upside there. But I actually liked how far Crowder fell like a round more than I would usually take him at. And then it's only a 12-round mock. So we get our last 2 out of 3 picks are going to be guys that are tight end and quarterback, of course. I like my quarterback, Ryan. I think Herndon's fine in the 12th round. And then Deshaun Jackson in the 11th, that's just a good pick. So I want more wide receivers since I took early running backs. So I have volume, right? I have quality and quantity, quantity being the big key there. So we get overall 7 wide receivers or 6 wide receivers in this 12-person draft, 1 tight end, 1 quarterback, and 4 running backs. I like it. I'm looking at some of the other teams. I like what some of these other teams did. So just looking at it overall, like the guy who picked first overall, he obviously goes McCaffrey, Kelsey, Mahomes. So he gets like the best player at all those positions. I like we did it in the middle rounds at wide receiver. So he ended up going with wide receiver. He takes 5 out of 6 picks wide receiver, pretty sharp. He goes Cooper Kupp, Parker, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, and Antonio Brown in the 10th. Antonio Brown is not retiring. He said I'm retiring, and an hour later, he dropped an album. That is the classic bait and switch, Kim Kardashian-esque. Bring attention to me, and here's my next clothing line, right? Something like that. That's what that is. So looking more at this, the guy who was like auto-drafting half the draft, Jay, got that. I mean, he drafted a fucking good team. I mean, I don't really want Darren Waller in the middle rounds because I think you're overpaying this year, but the 7th round is fine. The Dak in the 6th is fine, and he just adds some pretty nice value later on. But his start was good. Maybe later on wasn't as great. Emmanuel Sanders and Debo not as high on, but they're decent for where you get them for. The other one player in this league outside of myself who drafted 3 running backs: Cook, Leonard Fournette, and Jonathan Taylor. Taylor's early, but because all the running backs went, I think it's fine. And then he goes really heavy on the wide receivers: Cooper, Lockett, Sutton, AJ Green, and Jefferson. I think that's fine. He goes 2 tight ends. I wouldn't have done that in a 12-person league. He goes 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks. I don't like that at all. I think you need more depth. You could always pick up a waiver wire option. You don't really need the tight end and wide receiver depth in a 12-person. But again, obviously he's probably drafting thinking this is 18 rounds, so it's fine. $30 bill was in the chat. Derrick Henry and Clyde. Fine start. Lamar in the 3rd. I'm not for drafting quarterbacks early, but Lamar usually goes in like the 2nd or early 3rd, so I think that's a fine spot. DJ in the 4th is a steal. Mark Andrews in the 5th is fine. Then he goes right back. Oh, he stacks. Okay, so he's stacking. This is interesting. This is a really good idea if you're in best ball or in a tournament, but he's stacking in a 12-person league. It could pay off. Lamar, Mark Andrews, and Hollywood Brown. Gallup in the 7th is strong. Hardman in the 9th and Jerry Jeudy in the 10th. You're shooting for upside there. Then he finishes out with A.J. Dillon and Kerryon. Not really big on A.J. Dillon or Kerryon. Obviously, you're getting the 11th round Kerryon, but I think he's just totally dusty. Going down a little bit more here. So yeah, I think these are fine. The only man who went bold enough, the only man who did not pick a running back in the 1st round, goes 0 wide receiver to an extent, 0 running back to an extent. Thomas, Julio, and Godwin, monster start. And then he locks up running back with Raheem Mostert, James White, J.K. Dobbins, and sharp here, Tevin Coleman. So he just locks up the 49ers backfield. Probably should have got McKinnon later. If this was a 22-round draft, might as well just draft all of them, right? Then he gets Marvin Jones in the 8th. That's strong. Late round quarterback, Matthew Stafford at the 11-8. So I guess I could have waited and took Matthew Stafford in the 11th instead of Matt Ryan in the 10th, but nothing major there. I like the late round quarterback. He gets Evan Ingram in the 10th and Stafford in the 11th. So yeah, that's a killer team at the end of it. I hate his running backs, I'll be honest. His best running back right now, in my opinion, on paper is James White. That never feels great, but obviously his wide receivers are absolutely loaded. The top 3 and even Marvin Jones later on. Very good tight end and very good quarterback late. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Like and subscribe before you go. Go get the Supreme Draft Guide. If you want to get one of these drafts, just get in the Discord. Haven't been doing them as much because my timing is a little bit off. I usually record at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So I just do like a mock with like the computer or somebody else's rankings against me. But in this one, we had time. I did it in the afternoon. So hit the like, subscribe button, get the Supreme Draft Guide. Just $10 Rooskies. Promo code SALNFL over on Monkey Knife Fight. Get you a free $5. Get you a free ticket to another contest. And then my Supreme Draft Guide rankings are always going to be updated for events that happen and reasons to change it, injuries, any news that we get. Player profiles, top 150s, tiers, and a bunch of other stuff. Key stats. So check all that stuff out. It is linked down below. Appreciate y'all tuning into this one. You all rock, and I'll see you in the next one.